Thanks all for coming or continuing to join us. My name is Ryota Matsura. I'm the North American Director of BSME.
I'll go next. I'm Jill Fisher, and I am the program coordinator for in the North American office. So I help with applications and such before students go to Budapest.
So my name is Réka Szász. I'm the Hungarian director, so I'm responsible for academic issues in Budapest.
And hi, I'm Orsi, and I'm the student coordinator for BSME, and I am responsible for all non-academic issues that come up during the semester. And I hope that I will see a lot of you in the summer.
I see at least one former student and a current student of mine. Hi, Lindsay, and I'll ask Lindsay to introduce herself a little bit later, but and I think we're expecting perhaps one or two other former participants as well. I hope people have access to the chat box. We will have time for Q&A later, and so feel free to kind of vocalize your question at that time. But if you have questions that just pop up in your mind, or you don't want to, use the mic, feel free to type the question in the chat box, and then we can kind of read them off a little bit later on. And so I'll kind of get right into it. What we have planned is, I'll get to the agenda page in a second. Can you all see the shared screen? Yeah, great. So the agenda that we have is pretty simple. I'll give a very brief overview of the program, try to keep it relatively short. And then, like I said, we have some past participants, and if I'll ask them to just, say whatever they like about their experiences in Budapest. So start thinking about it while I babble on for the next few minutes. And then we'll just kind of open it up to Q&A. That can be for the staff or for the former participants to kind of get the student perspective. And so, BSME is in Hungary. So just start with kind of a fun fact. It's in Central Europe and very central in a sense that it's surrounded by 7 countries. And so see if you can kind of name them all, I suppose. Amazing culture, people. We have a couple of people from Hungary right now on this call. Scenery, food, lots of wonderful things, and a very rich mathematical history. It is the origin of Rubik's Cube. And then, people use base 10 blocks, perhaps in elementary education, that came from a Hungarian math educator. And they did this kind of study sometime in, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago. And Hungary has produced the most mathematicians per capita in the world or something. So many mathematicians coming out of a relatively small country. And so kind of what's the secret, if you will? And so my personal feeling is it has a lot to do with how they teach mathematics from an early age. And so our entire program is centered around this Hungarian mathematics pedagogy. That's at least what we call it around here, but it's just math, right? And math in Hungary and Hungarian classrooms are often centered around problem solving and kind of discovery and figuring things out for yourself, and the excitement around that, and students are given lots of freedom to argue and with each other and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. Viewing math as an entire discipline, just math, as opposed to, say, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. It's just math, and the focus is on kind of connections between those different, sub areas of math that sometimes we might separate them too much. And in a classroom where the kind that I just described, the teacher's role is more of a motivator and a facilitator rather than perhaps like a, transfer of knowledge or something like that. So that's kind of the secret, at least I see in a nutshell, of the Hungarian math pedagogy. And so our program is centered all around that. It is a 6-week summer program, typically starts in late June and goes until kind of early August. And our target audience, which I'll say a little bit more later on, is really for anyone interested in the learning and teaching of secondary mathematics. So middle school and high school, grades 5 through 12, if you will. Although we have had elementary educators who are interested in kind of specifically in mathematics, and that has worked really well as well. And like I said before, our goal is to experience and study this Hungarian pedagogy that I just described. So we take this kind of two-pronged approach as I think of it. One, we asked our participants to put their student hat on and actually learn some fun mathematics through this Hungarian pedagogy. But then also put the teacher's hat on, because our audience, our participants are interested in not just learning of math, but teaching of math. And so they would observe these Hungarian math lessons. It is during the summer, so school is out, but there are lots of math camps in Hungary. And so that's where they would go during their field experience week. And then also have the opportunity to design and teach their own lessons to Hungarian students at these camps in English, of course. So you don't have to learn Hungarian in 5 weeks or anything like that. We offer typically 3 courses, and so that's what you see here, the practicum, which is kind of the field experience component, and then a couple of fantastic courses. One is about kind of the playfulness of math and using games to learn mathematics, and the other course about guided discovery. How do you help students kind of come to these discoveries through their own work, guided by the teacher and the problems that they design. I think our biggest asset are the instructors. So these are, Hungarian math educators. They were kind of raised in this Hungarian pedagogy, and they've also taught secondary math. So they've kind of experienced both sides of it, and we're thrilled to have these wonderful math educators work with our participants. And all the courses are taught in English. They have lots of experience through BSME and other avenues of working with US students and students from other countries, but most of our participants come from the States. Budapest, again, just a beautiful city, lots of history, lots of scenery, lots of great food. And we're very aware that, our program is not just about kind of the academic component. It is, you get to spend 6 weeks in Budapest and other neighboring countries that are pretty easy to visit. So, of course, we are aware of those opportunities, and we don't want our students and participants to just, drowned in academics the entire time. That we want to make sure that they get to experience the kind of the cultural aspect of being in a European country during the summer as well. I alluded to this earlier. Our students, our participants come from kind of very different backgrounds. Many of our participants are pre-service teachers who are pursuing math teaching license, either as undergrads or master's students. Others are kind of studying math at their institution, and they have plans to pursue licensure perhaps afterwards. We do get in-service teachers as well, because we offer graduate credits. I'll say a little bit more about that in the next slide. And then we have students who are just simply curious about learning and teaching, perhaps more from an academic perspective. So a wide range of participants. I think the common thread is that they're all interested in this student-centered approach to learning and teaching mathematics. I talked about the credits. So we are partnered with a couple of institutions. One is St. Olaf College. That's where I am. And then the other is Texas State University. And so depending on whether you're an undergrad or postgrad, you can get undergrad credits or postgrad credits. So either way, and if you're an in-service teacher, you know, those graduate credits can certainly kind of move you across the column, the pay scale. So there is a practical component of that as well. So our website has the application and all the information you need. It has contact pages that has our email addresses and things like that. The application deadline for this coming summer is, I guess, in a month and 2 days. So still plenty of time. It's free to apply. I hope our online application system is pretty easy to use. Of course, if you have any questions, let us know, and I'll put up our email in a moment. And these applications are accepted on a rolling basis. So kind of the earlier you apply, the sooner you find out. And so that there's a high benefit to applying early. So I would certainly encourage that. And there's our email address and our website that contains our all the information that you need. So I'm going to just hold this slide open for 10 more seconds or so and then stop the share. Okay. Great. So I see at least one former participant.
Yes, and Eli has also arrived. So we have.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks.
Yes.
All right. So perhaps Lindsay and Eli, if you could kind of briefly introduce yourselves.
Sure, I'll go first. I'm Lindsay. I was a BSME student this past summer. It was an amazing experience. I loved it so much. We got to teach lessons, and there was plenty of time to go and like see other parts of Europe. And yeah, I just had a great time. It was very enriching in the math that we learned and the math that we were like discussing with others. So yeah.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Eli. I was in the cohort from not this past summer, but the one before that. And yeah, just kind of echoing a lot of what Lindsay was saying, it was such a great experience. All the classes were great, the faculty were great and really receptive to our needs. We had lots of opportunities to practice what we were learning. And even now I'm like going back, so I'm now a master's student in education, and I see myself going back to like all these readings and work that I did when I was in Budapest and using those for writing my own like theses and stuff. So it was really a great experience.
There's a question on the chat. Pre-service, in-service.
Yeah, so when I did the program, I was an undergraduate student studying math, but now I'm pre-service. I'm currently student teaching. I'm actually at my placement right now. So I will starting this coming school year, I'll be full-time teaching.
I'm a pre-service teacher at St. Olaf College. I'm in Riota's class right now. Yes, and I student teach in the fall.
So Lindsay did this summer after her sophomore year, I believe. She's currently a junior at St. Olaf. So.
And so I would just like to add that BSME students usually come from very different backgrounds. So we have even the undergrads, some undergrads come from more a math background, some come more from an education background. We've even had different majors than math. And then among the grad students, we have in-service teachers, but we also have students who graduated and still are figuring out what to do in life. So also we have students who are just curious about teaching and curious whether it fits them, or we have participants who are 100% sure they want to go into teaching, or they've been already teaching. So it's a nice mix of participants from all different backgrounds.
the question about how many people do you take on the program, it kind of varies from year to year, depending on the number of applicants we get. So I think in Lindsay's summer, it was 12. And for Eli's summer, it was like 15, or was that the bigger one? 20.
Yeah, we had like 25 or something.
20, yeah, so it really kind of depends on how many people how many people apply. And again, I would encourage people to kind of apply early because it is a rolling admission. This one, I think, is for Reka and Orshi about trips to other European.
Okay, so the question is, do the Hungarian faculty members lead trips to other European
countries?
students, or do the students visit on their own? Yes, students. Yes, so students travel to Europe on their own. Within Hungary, we have someone who organizes some trips in Hungary for BSME students, but also BSME participants organize a lot of trips for themselves within Hungary and also outside of Hungary. It's only them who organize their trips independently. And so I pass the next question to Orsi about the living with the host families, dorms, etc.
No, students don't live with host families. Students live in apartments, like 2-3 rooms apartments where they share the common places, and everyone has their own rooms. So this is the usual setup. So if you are coming, you're gonna be placed is separate in apartments with other students.
The camp situation is a little bit different, though. Can you talk about?
Yeah, so
in
the camp, participants share rooms with each other. So it's usually 3 to 4 participants who share a room in the camp. And so it's kind of more like campy, less comfortable situation than in Budapest. But it's like everyone, all the teachers at the camp who are usually young teachers, and all the students, they stay in the same on the same campsite. So it's a lot of experience with living close to Hungarian students and young teachers.
And that's the field experience component of our program. So, there are 5 weeks of, about a week worth of kind of orientation, and then 4 weeks of classes, and which could typical, math education courses you can imagine. And then we have this 1 week of field experience. I'm curious from kind of Lindsay and Eli's perspective about the field experience. Could you share a little bit about what you experienced there?
Yeah, so the camp we stayed at was like by Lake Balaton. So we had the times when they were in class when we would observe the lessons done by like many Hungarian like teachers, and then we taught one of the lessons. Like we had groups of people and we would teach a lesson to the students at the camp like near the end. And yeah, the food there was like provided by the camp, but I saw a question about like, do we make our own meals for the rest of the program? Yeah, but for the camp, it's provided by the camp. And yeah, it's really nice being on the lake. There's a couple like trips that people in the camp go on, like hiking and stuff like this, that we can go on throughout time. So yeah.
And
Yeah.
I should emphasize that the apartments, during the non-field experience time, so which is, 5 weeks out of the 6 weeks, students live in the apartments in Budapest, and the BSME staff, so mainly, or she kind of takes care of it. So you don't have to look for your own apartments in Budapest or anything like that. That's all done for you. And so we have networks of apartments that we work with. So in
Yeah,
fact,
we are always using the same apartments pretty much. And we know the landlords very well. We have good relationships with them. So we are providing that for you. So you don't have to look and you don't have to worry about where to move in.
Going back to the question also about the field experience, adding to what Lindsay was saying, beyond all the incredible experience, like working with students and seeing Hungarian teachers teach lessons is, it's a really, really, I was also at the camp at Lake Balaton, and it's a really great community of teachers and students. And I still am texting with other of the Hungarian counselors that we met there. Like, we're still in touch. They're really great people. They're really nice. And it was every part of it, like socially, communally, academically, was honestly my favorite part of the program, I think.
Speaking of community, I just want to give a shout out to, so Arkarsh, if you could wave, I just saw him. So Arkarsh participated in BSME in what, 2015 or
2016.
2016, and still part of the family. So the BSME community is strong, and we love to keep in touch with folks who've worked with us before. So Arkarsh, thanks for coming. It's good to see you.
Yes, thank you, Ryota. Thank you. I did it back when they were still doing it in the semesters.
Yeah, we used to have a semester program, and now it's kind of exclusively during the summer, just so it fits into people's schedules better. There's a question about medical insurance associated with the program. Jill or
Yeah, I can, yeah. Students,
Yeah.
we encourage students to have an international insurance. And if someone is still an undergrad, they can check with their study abroad office from their home institution to see what is recommended. But there, you can just do a search online for international medical insurance policies, and they're not that expensive. You could probably get yourself covered for less than $100. I mean, those prices are always changing. That was the last time I looked. But yeah, it's not terribly expensive. And you just want to make sure that if you have, a major medical event, that you are covered and you don't get stuck with a big medical bill. Yeah. Oh, and there's also a question about international students, that yes, we absolutely encourage international students to participate. Depending on what country you're coming from, you may have to apply for a visa to participate for the summer. But any students coming from the US or Canada that have citizenship in the US, Canada, do not need a visa for the summer. So you might need to allow, if you are an international student, you might need to allow extra time to apply for that visa.
And going back to the health insurance, every student who comes to Budapest has a health plan with the Swiss clinic, which means that you have certain amount of visits that you can make at the Swiss clinic for free, and you can make appointments. And also, if there is an emergency, they take house calls. So there is a medical coverage in Hungary as well. But beside that, you have to have your own insurance that covers you in Europe.
Yes, and thanks for adding this, Orshi. And also this plan at the Swiss Clinic is included in tuition, so you don't have to pay extra for it. So we just want this double security of having this local insurance, but also the international insurance too. Okay, so there's also still the question about the meals. So in Budapest, our participants either cook for themselves, there are kitchens, like fully equipped kitchens in the apartment, or also there are a lot of places where you can eat near the school building. And
Yeah, there's a question about field
the
experience.
field experience.
Yeah, I can answer the last one really quickly. The group does not, because our participants come from all over the states and some from international, they kind of arrange their own flights to Hungary. Once they get to the, Budapest, there's this one big airport in Budapest, then we can kind of help you from there. And we can help students find, kind of the most cost-effective plans to travel and things like that. But they do travel on their own to Budapest.
Okay, and I can answer the rest of the questions about the field experience. So it depends on the size of the cohort, how many camp destinations are. So last summer there was one camp destination, and 2 years ago when Eli was there, we had two different camp destinations. But definitely all the setting is very similar. So this the coming summer, our main, or like the first camp destination will be in the mountains with the same community that Lindsay and Eli shared about. That was at a different place, but it's the same community of teachers and students, just a different location. And how old are the campers? So the campers are between 10 and 18 years old.
There are kind of couple of questions about kind of research data. And actually, Reka and I have written several papers about Hungarian pedagogy and kind of related to our work with BSME. And so if anybody wants to kind of email us, I'm happy to kind of share those the work that we've done from a research perspective. And then there was a question about certain math level needed to be eligible for the program. I think, having had some, and Reka, you can certainly add to this, but what I tell people is having had some experience kind of justifying and explaining, I'm hesitating to say like a proofs course. It's more about explaining and justifying what you've done. Having that some experience with that would be helpful. What do you think, Reka?
Yes, I agree. So usually we look at the backgrounds of our participants, and so it happened before that we thought that that maybe they don't have enough math experience yet, and then we advise them to work a little bit more on their math before coming to Hungary. So so that is something that we take a close look when looking at the applications. But basically, what Ryota says, it's a good description, because the maths, there's no high level mathematics. We call it low ceiling, high threshold mathematics that is involved in the program. It's more about the problem solving and reasoning.
I think we've addressed all the questions in the chat. Are there any other questions that people may have? Exercising my wait time.
Yes, I'm familiar with that term.
Fun.
Lindsay and Eli, I'm curious, what's something that was surprising either about the culture or the experience in general when you were there?
And I think Lindsay must have had to go to something else because I think she logged
Okay.
off. Yeah, but Eli's still here.
I think something that
Gosh.
really stood out to me about like Hungarian math is kind of the way that their curriculum is set up. So like often, you know, in states we have like algebra 2, and then you have geometry, then algebra 2, and then pre-calc, and then calculus, and there's this like sequential like named classes. But the curriculum mathematically in Hungary is very spiral. So it's not like this year we do this year we do this year we do this. It's every year we're gonna touch on different parts of it, and each year get more specific with what we're doing. And so I think that was a really interesting perspective and new way of looking at this. And it was surprising and really cool. And seeing what David just put in the chat, I do agree a lot of the stuff, I've been reading a lot of NCTM, like Principles to Action in my master's right now, and there's definitely a lot of overlap between that stuff and what we were studying in Hungary. And that's why I've been able to reuse a lot of the articles and what I learned while working on my master's right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, when we started this program about 10 years ago now, I think kind of my first reaction to learning about Hungarian pedagogy is, wow, this is the right time. I think the push for more student-centered learning, kind of this active learning, you know, thinking students, you know, engaging students in this kind of deep, meaningful, conceptual understanding kind of mathematics. I think this is, you know, I felt like it was the right time in the US to kind of introduce our students to that kind of way to learn math. So
Also, Akash, would you like to also reply the question about what surprised you in Hungary?
Repeat that again. I couldn't get you.
No, she was talking to me, actually.
Sorry.
So what part of the culture? The math culture or the culture in general?
Well, I mean, anything that comes into your mind. You can also think
The
about
experience visiting Lajos's camp was quite good, and I did see unexpected things that he did.
Thanks for sharing.
Yes, I found I found it very interesting how the teachers there connect with the students.
So there was a question about kind of the costs, estimated costs kind of beyond airfare and things like that and tuition. So I put a link from our webpage that addresses all those. And so, you know, please let us know if there are other things beyond what's on that page. What is addressed during orientation? What's a typical day like in Budapest and then at the camp? I guess I'll leave that to Reka and Orshi since.
Okay, so a typical day in Budapest looks like there are 3 classes a day. Each is 90 minutes with a lunch break in between. And then after classes, so it ends early afternoon. After classes, students have some homework to work on, but also they have time to just have time for themselves or do things in Budapest. And a typical day in the camp looks like in the morning, there are 2 classes in the camp. So it's mostly at the beginning in the first part of the camp, BSME participants observe those lessons. And then in the last days of the camp, they teach lessons in small groups during those lessons. And then in the afternoons and the evenings in the camp, there are a lot of different social programs for the students and the trips. And the BSME participants are invited to participate in all of those. And also, they are also welcome to help out in facilitating all of those programs, but it's not a requirement. So the expectation is for them to attend the morning academic sessions, and in the afternoon and evenings they can participate as much as they want. And I'm also inviting our Eli to share about your experience.
Yeah, something just to add on to that also is, so the year I was there, we had some like camera people come in and they followed 2 of our participants around for a day. And those videos are up on, I think, the YouTube page or Instagram or something. And I know with like those like day in the life videos, they can be like really like
I think we lost Eli. So while Eli's connection is kind of coming back, I'm going to quickly answer one question about participants graded. Yes, they do get grades in their courses, and because of transcript. Of course, there's an option not to get your credits transferred to wherever your institution is. But if you want transcript as part of the experience, then yes, you will get graded. So.
And about grades, if you do all the work needed, then you'll certainly get an A. So it's like the requirement is to do the work.
Eli's back.
And
yeah, sorry about that. My computer decided to stop working.
My computer also died, so sorry about that.
Oh yeah, but what I was saying is there were these YouTube videos that were following around 2 of the people from our program. It was like a day in a life, and it was, I know with like those day in life videos, they can seem really like fake and not real, but I was like surprised watching these back, like how accurate they were. So if you do want to have like a good sense of what we were doing on the YouTube page, there is these 2 videos following 2 of the people around from my cohort in the program, which I'd recommend.
Yeah. And you can see those videos on our homepage, and we have a few other shorter versions kind of throughout the website that connect to the YouTube videos.
So what is addressed during orientation? Mostly the logistical things that help participants prepare for the program.
2 of the things that I also remember from the orientation that I thought were really helpful was there was like a little crash course in Hungarian. So you could like learn some basic phrases, learn how to it's a very phonetic language. So learning how to pronounce all the sounds so that, we could sound things out and have some sort of sense of what was going on in the country around us. And there was also a lot of context about Hungarian education that was really helpful and provided a lot of insight throughout the rest of the program.
Okay, so I think Eli and I understood the question differently. So I was talking about the online orientation, and Eli was talking about the week. We have this intro week for the program. So yes, it's a little bit of everything about language and culture, and we also go to a Hungarian school, and also we have an emphasis of our participants getting to know each other already. At the online orientation, there is a little opportunity at the end for them to talk a little bit among themselves, and then there is focus on that also in the first intro week.
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions beyond, if you didn't get a chance to ask or questions occur to you later, please feel free to email bsme@bsmeducation.com. That email comes to me and I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has.
And
So
there's more questions in the chat. So if we do any walks around Budapest during orientation, yes, we do. And hints on how to use public transportation. So everyone, when they arrive at the airport, someone from BSME picks them up by car and takes them to the apartment, and then they explain the basic things about how to get around and things like that. And also another question, if a student has never traveled in Europe, is there someone who can help a student while they're figure out how to travel? Yes, so we are always really happy to help with any questions. So just let us know, and then we are happy to help. And I'm wondering if the previous participants have anything to add to that or anything else.
For the question about the help with public transportation, I will also say that Google Maps will be your best friend while you're there. I use Google Maps to like get pretty much everywhere. And then there's also an app, I assume it still exists, called Budapest Go, which has all the information about like when buses are coming, when trains are coming, and can help you plan routes. And I'd say public transportation in Budapest was surprisingly good, at least compared to like the United States, where public transportation is a mess. It's a lot better in Hungary.
Yeah, and Budapest Go has like a whole country pass or like a city pass and all that. So if you get the city pass, then you can go on any of the public transportation in the city and through a pass on the app. So that's a very helpful thing. With travel, we kind of worked like together. The students who we wanted to go places, we kind of just planned it together. But I'm sure the instructors would be willing to help, or she would help with anyone who wanted to travel there. And yeah, you have to make sure that people know that you're going somewhere. So that, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. That's very important. If you travel somewhere, always let us know so we know where you are. And also, yes, if you need help planning a trip or have questions about it, you can always turn to us, and we are happy to answer, and we are happy to help you. So you are not left alone.
well, I think that might be it. I don't see any other questions coming through here. I want to thank everybody for attending. This is being recorded, and so we will post the link to the recording on our website, and I'll work on getting hopefully if Zoom allows me, I will be able to email everybody who has registered the recording link as well. So great. Thank you so much, everybody. Please reach out to us if you have any questions that come up.
Yes, thanks everyone for coming and participating. Let us know if you have any questions.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.